Good afternoon. This is Veterans Talk. It ain't nothing but a thing, but it's a thing we want you tuned into every Saturday afternoon. We're here doing the same thing we've been doing ever since we started the show in 2004, trying to make sense of a sensitive situation called the plight of veterans in the USA and the USA with the plight of veterans. I'm Elsa McGee, your host, and I'm here with my partner in crime, Tony Merritt. Brother, how you doing?
I'm good.
You know,
yes.
this is a moving day in this country.
Yes.
It's a moving day, man. I was watching the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington D.C., and then I had to apologize to Mike Mizell out in John Creek the day of Remembrance in the state of Georgia, where it's being done all over the country. Veterans are coming together to remember the Vietnam War, those that was perished in the Vietnam War. And we are here today with this, talking about our project, the Sons of Atlanta Vietnam War Memorial, as it being a call to unity for veterans and our communities. All veterans, you know what I'm saying? All veterans, because all of us did the same pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Yes, exactly.
The same pledge. I don't care whether you went to Vietnam or you stayed in the United States, you were serving in the same military. And I'm going to say something, Tony, and I think you can bear witness to this here. You got the same treatment, the same rejection that the Vietnam veterans was getting from some parts of the public.
Yeah.
They was, you know, they was against the wall. Now I didn't say I didn't start no war. I just was sent to fight it. Exactly. And I was sent to fight it because we are a country of laws. The law said that I had a civic duty to honor the draft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And thousands, millions of my generation, our generation, did just that. They honored the draft. They went into the military. They served. All gave some, but some gave all. Mm-hmm. And we are here today saying that those that gave all, we cannot forget why and for what. We just can't forget why and for what. You know, it would have been, it was actually thousands of our generation that refused the draft.
Yeah.
Some of them left the country, some of them went to jail, and some of them got a doctor's excuse.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to fight and didn't fight. And I'm afraid that some of those people that didn't want to fight then are fighting us now.
Yeah.
They are. They are fighting us now. And this is why we want to call our project a call to unity around the idea that these young folks died for. They died for it. These people came out of our community. Atlanta, College Park, East Point, Union City, Hatesville, you know, all of these cities in Fulton County. Over 240 young men. One of them was out of my high school that I walked to school with mostly every day. You know, we hung out together. He was ironically, he was killed in the same month that Dr. King was killed in Vietnam, when we was in Vietnam, in April of 1968. That was a dismal year for me. I was wounded. And I hesitate when I go to Washington to go to the wall. Why? I know too many people on the wall.
Yeah.
It was too overwhelming for me. But years and years passed by, I could never stop thinking about those people that we sacrificed, the lives that we sacrificed. I couldn't help thinking about Louis Harmon, because he was one of the funniest people I ever met. He could make you laugh when you didn't want to. He was a kid that was full of life, that loved Atlanta, Georgia. We didn't have buses that we rode back then, Tony. We walked downtown, right? from Hunter Street from Auburn Avenue, from all over this city. Young men went into the military under the draft. Some of us came back. We came back with something that the country never recognized at the time. It was called post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
It took the war was over in 73, basically, 1973. It was 1980 before they recognized what PTSD was. Thousands of veterans that had served and been victimized by PTSD had either committed suicide or been killed by the police. Mm-hmm. And what came out of that, Tony, in this country, they still didn't really recognize the impact of PTSD until 9/11.
Right, yes.
A whole nother decade.
Yep.
Then the whole country was traumatized. Then we start understanding that violence caused PTSD. What are we doing to our young children now? They're dying in the streets from violence. And those that are not being killed are being traumatized.
Yep.
It's a time for us to unify our communities, to get our communities together in a way that we can stop the violence, that we can eradicate the crime. There is enough for everybody in this country to have a decent, enjoyable, prosperous life. We got a handful billionaires that are controlling the rest of us. They're controlling us to the point that my grandchildren, now I live to get grandchildren. I got some great grandchildren now, man, but I live to get some grandchildren. But it pains me to watch them, Tony, work 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
And they don't have enough to pay for rent in this city. 2-bedroom apartment costs you $1,500.
A minimum. That's the minimum.
Yeah, that's the minimum.
Yes.
It depends on what side of the street you living
Exactly.
on.
Yep.
It's time for unity to come to our community. We got to stop these people from separating us and causing us to be against each other, because that's giving room to lack. You got too much lack in the community. You eradicate lack, you're going to decrease crime automatically then. If you address the mental issues that we done traumatize our country and our people with, you're going to reduce the crime and the violence. You get laws that take away the right to have automatic weapons, you're going to reduce the mass killings. It don't take a rocket science to understand what we got to do. What we got is a bunch of politicians playing us against each other. Mm-hmm. Yep. Tony, I'm finished. I don't get so you was talking about memorializing, some of your friends, man. Tell me how that went, because memorials are important, and that's what we're talking about today. Yeah. And we got to put these in context with how we remember those that we love.
Yeah. The interesting thing about that is that I think the term is out of sight, out of mind.
Out of mind.
And we forget. Yes, there have been years past that, but the fact that those people that paid the ultimate price, we knew them.
We knew.
They were a living, physical being, a part of our lives.
Part of our lives.
And we don't want to forget.
No, we don't. We shouldn't forget.
There is a portion of the governing body that wants us to not remember those people and those things that they did and the price they paid. But we aren't going to buy into that.
No, we can't.
We can't. You're right. We can't buy into that, because we know how important they were to us, and if we served with them, we know how important they were for the, not just for us personally, but for the country.
For the country, and especially, Tony, their families in that community.
Yes. We're talking about them, but it's just like the benefits that the veterans receive. It spreads from that point on. Yes, you're the typical point where the veteran, where the benefits start, but it spreads into your family and to your community.
To your family and your community.
It's all up. We're all one.
Yeah, we're all one.
We're all one. But
all one. Anyway, God made us like that.
Yes, yes. But we have people creating governing laws that try to divide us, make us feel that we're separate from the other, and we're not.
And Tony, I'm gonna tell you what. You can watch it in the economy. When I say in the economy, I'm talking about businesses. How they want to. They set these artificial margins of profit they got to have from their product and services, but yet they don't want to pay the workers.
Yeah.
Commensurable. You got people right now that got enough money, more money than they'll ever spend, or their immediate family will ever spend, and they own companies that's generating millions a day, but they won't pay their workers a livable wage.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we got government that sanction it.
Yes.
This is a call to unity.
Yeah.
We got a reason to call for unity. We look at the U.S. military today. Now, we look at this. When I went in the military, or when we went in the military, it was basically the majority of the military was Caucasian.
Exactly.
And the few minorities that was in there, our assignment was the most hazardous duties. The most hazardous duties, which was either infantry, artillery, or supply.
Yes.
And then I'm gonna say something else too. I forget about this. The hospitals.
Oh yes.
The hospitals. Dr. Carver. I can't never go back because we had so many great veterans in our own circle, Tony. Dr. Carver worked at the 93rd evac in Vietnam. That was the hospital that received the wounded and dead from the fields.
Yeah.
I used to tell Dr. Carver, I said, I was in infantry, but you've seen more bodies than I have.
Exactly.
Because he was seeing all of them.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know what? It took years for me to get him his benefits. I ain't gonna go there. We ain't gonna talk about that part of it. Don't, Tony.
But we need to talk about that part because it's so important on what's impacting us today.
Yes.
At that point, nobody considered the fact that years from that, we would be suffering from post-traumatic. Those were traumatic experiences, watching those bodies and body parts.
Body parts, right? Because some of them come in there
tore
tore
up.
up.
Parts that came
Tore
back.
up.
There weren't bodies. They were totally, the damage that military weapons can do to a body can result only in body parts coming back.
Yeah,
and you were working in an area where they were dealing with just body parts coming back.
Parts.
And so nobody had any idea of what they saw and what they dealt with was going to affect them in the future.
Listen, Tony. You were so right, brother, because I remember, now I came out of a family that had country. I had the best of both worlds. My mom and dad was from the country, but I was born in the city. So I had grandparents in the country, so I was able to spend a large part of my growing up years in the country with my grandparents. So I was taught to hunt and fish before I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And I was used to seeing animals kill, because we ate them.
Right.
But my first kill in Vietnam did something to me that I could never rewind.
Exactly.
I wasn't prepared for that, Tony. I wasn't even prepared to see that. But I had a duty and a sense of duty that was inspired by my ancestry, by my parents. That I'm going to do the best that I can be for this situation because I'm representing my mama,
yes,
my daddy, my family, and my community. But nobody was there to educate me.
Exactly.
Or to educate my family to what they were dealing with. And the call to unity is just that because, Tony, every year that we live in this country, graduation time is a refilling of the military. Coming out of the same communities that these young men came out of. And I just pledge to my grandson who's serving now that they're going to have a better community, going to have a better VA than we had when we came back. It won't, you're going to have somebody there that understand your service. When they say thank you for your service, they're going to understand, they have a better understanding of that service that they're thanking you for because they can't see how that service might be impacting you today, or your family.
That's so true. You know, true enough, the VA has challenges.
Yes, it has.
But they are adapting to their becoming aware of the challenges that the veterans that they're serving, those conditions they served under. We can understand, you know, we had a generation of people working at the VA had never dealt with people in a war zone. Because that happened, the separation between we were in two major wars was significant. And so you had a generation. And so they weren't aware. And unfortunately, they weren't equipped.
And I'm going to say this. The service that we render caused the U.S. military to grow and to become what it is today.
Exactly. Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And when we look at some of the histories of it, you know, some of the histories, you know, Margaret Freeman is doing a film now about the 761 tank brigade. The only black tank brigade that we don't know nothing about. I ain't know nothing about it till last week.
Hey, Brent, you're educating me right now.
Listen, them brothers did some magnificent things to help win World War II that they didn't even get no credit for. That Ron DeSantis and his ancestors want to make sure they play us down. They want to make us feel less than citizens. We got to be an underclass. And we are here to tell you that we can build a unity that's going to eradicate those kind of people from our governments. Because, see, the same oath that you took, the same oath that I took to serve under the Constitution, they take. But they don't take it serious. Because we had a guy that was the president that said, you know, I think he was one of them folks that got an exemption from the wall too. That he knew more than the generals, and that being caught, he didn't think that was a hero, but he ain't never served. He didn't have to go through what John McClain went through and serve in this country. And for him to underplay that set off an alert in my mind, what kind of leader is this going to be for the country? And what we had during that period, it started during Barack's service, but he elevated the separation of this country. And right now, he got it to the point that it can actually cause a civil war. Because there's some people that's believing that what he did was not unlawful because of who he was. And we're saying it's unlawful because all other people that have been charged with similar crimes went to jail. He deserved a trial. You know, he's innocent until proven guilty. But with the evidence that's stacked against him, you can't explain why you kept secret documents that you didn't supposed to have. You can't explain that away, saying that because I was the president, I could take them and I could declassify them by just thinking about it. Listen, this is just veterans talk. Veterans talking to veterans in the community about all things veterans. And all things veterans, what we're talking about now, and we want to give a shout out to Michael Julian Barnes, the son of Julian Barnes. We're gonna get him back on the show soon too. We got our project approved by the city of Atlanta. Finally, the last major city in the region to adopt a Vietnam War memorial. But what they have bought into is more than just a monument in the park. We're going to be in the park, though. We're going to be in Atlanta Historic Piedmont Park between 12th and 14th Street on Piedmont Avenue on the front lawn. We're setting up a memorial that honors the 240-plus young men that came out of Atlanta and Fulton County, Georgia. Actually, 9 cities. 9 different cities that we're representing in that one memorial that probably never did anything together. Never. But we're bringing these families together that have made this sacrifice, bringing these communities together that made this sacrifice to honor them in Piedmont Park. But we're doing more than just building a memorial in the park. Once this monument is set up in the park, we're going into the community centers. They're already there. Mm-hmm. The libraries that's already there, and we're gonna have education and resource units in these community centers every day, 6 days a week, that address the peculiar, urgent problems of the community where they're located. Mm-hmm. To undermine lack, first of all, to make sure that people are able to pay their rent, make sure that they're able to have food, make sure that they are able to have medical care, make sure that they have the amenities of being a citizen in this country without distress. And then I'm talking about volunteering. See, we forget that we got an army of school teachers, veterans, police officers that ain't doing nothing in the community right now. Some of them trying to volunteer in different places. Yep. But if we got them together under this auspices, then get them in there. In the libraries, we're gonna have them. They need to have tutorials, lectures, and books from veterans. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That tell their story, so that the community will be able to understand the true value of military service and what it costs the community. It's not just what it costs the veteran and their family, but what it costs the community. It costs the community right now shame. It's a shame that when I go downtown, or when we go downtown, right before City Hall and the state capitol, you got homeless people, tents living. Not just veterans, but citizens should not be treated that way.
Exactly.
Not in a city that's building multi-structures every day and got most vacant space right now empty with the water running, the lights on, they got homeless folks. Mm-hmm. We got to get politicians that gonna say this here, nobody gonna be homeless in Atlanta. Nobody is gonna be homeless in Atlanta, especially veterans, but nobody. With the resources that we have. We got abandoned properties right now that we could be putting people in, get them off the street. And we need to have a real thinking about these issues. But we're not going. Some people don't even want to talk about them. Yeah. But we're gonna raise the issues like we do every week. We're gonna talk about these issues until we get the community, not politicians. We're gonna get the community to address it, because one thing about it, we got the voting power. Yeah. We got the power to select better people for our governments than we're doing. We got to get out of the commercial and get in reality. You know, looking at the debates of the GOP. I mean, I believe in our two-party system, Tony. But right now, I'm of the opinion that ain't but one party gonna help us survive this moment, and that's the Democrats. Even though I think that they need some real work themselves. Yeah. They need some real work. But they are not the party of the Republicans who is tearing down the Constitution. And you got people in Congress right now that's interfering with the administration of justice. Never before in our history have we seen legislative bodies try to tell the prosecuting office what to do, or who to prosecute, or how to prosecute them. We thought we had that solved in the separations of power. But we got elected officials doing this, you know, and lying about each other, calling each other names like kids in high school, like kids in grade school. High schools don't do that. You know, like grade school. That's what we got in Congress. We need to sweep our governments clean of the mess that we have on the scene in our every level. I'm talking about city, county, state, and federal. Mm-hmm. We got too much mess.
Yes.
We got too much mess.
The challenge is at every level of government. But one of the things that we're going to do, not we need to do, but we're going to do, because we aren't going to stop bringing it to their attention, is these people need to be screened before they're elected into positions. And you know, the challenge is we sit back a lot of times and never screen the people, particularly those in our local government, because those are the people that directly affect our lives.
Now, I'm going to say, Tony, you're so right, man, because I'm looking at this, what you saying, being played out in our state right now.
Exactly. That's, you know, the hypocrisy that our local government and elected officials are doing, it makes absolutely no sense.
No sense whatsoever.
It's
divisive.
It's totally divisive.
It's divisive.
And they are playing on that. You know, they are using that as an expression or an excuse to do whatever it is they want, not for the benefit of the people, but for their own personal business, and unfortunately for the benefit of their political party. You know, they are putting their party above the citizens that elected them into office. They could care less about the desires and the needs of the city. All they're concerned about is the power they have, being a elected official, having the ability to make decisions that affect the community.
Tony, you know, I'm gonna tell you something. Man, you so on it. You listen. I look at this, man. They raising rents in Atlanta beyond the capacity of the average worker to pay.
Not even below average.
Yeah, below average.
Below average in this city.
Yeah, in this city.
Yes.
And they are building more dwellings in the city than the people can afford.
Yes.
And this is big business now, because what has happened, we got investors coming into our cities buying up properties at such a speed that it's mind-boggling. You go over in the Bluff.
Yes.
Ain't no bluff.
It ain't the bluff. The bluff is not the bluff we knew.
When we brought,
nowhere.
And they didn't. And it's not being fixed for the people in the bluff.
No. You know, that's the set. Not just the bluff.
Yeah, I just use the bluff because everybody know about the bluff.
Everybody know about the bluff. You go to East Atlanta. I mean, just east of downtown.
East of downtown.
And you look at what that community was and what it is now. Totally unrecognizable. Anybody who left Atlanta 15 years ago come back and said, what happened to the neighborhood? Because we had neighborhoods there.
Yeah.
Now we have areas.
You
know, areas. And people who aren't even familiar with the history of that area is moving into it. And they're determined to
change it.
Gentrification is a major problem happening in this city.
And it scares me because what they're doing, they're creating a lack, right? That's in the community between these two demographics. That's the ones that's coming in and the one that's already there. Because the ones that's coming in got more income than the ones that's already there.
Yes.
So they're creating this division in the community. Because, well, I'm going to say what Malcolm thought about, what Malcolm and King was trying to do, because this is the 60th anniversary march on D.C.
Yes.
Malcolm had a problem with integration, not because of just for the sake of integration. His problem was assimilation.
Yes.
He thought that by integrating, we would assimilate the characters and the attitudes and the behavior of the you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I'm sad to say, Malcolm was right.
Yeah.
It's happening too much.
Yes.
We look at some of these politicians that we're electing. They give out the business so fast that some of them can't get a good term in office before they done lock them up.
Yes.
They can't get a whole term in office before they done sold out to the business or took bribes from business that want to come into the communities with this same stuff that's causing the community to have the problems that we're up against today.
Yeah.
So in this day, our call to unity is this. We're going into the libraries and we're calling out people that's in the communities that done retired or disabled.
Yeah.
You need something to do every day that's positive for the community. Come work with us. Come help us change your community back to a safe haven for you to go to the grocery store, for your kids to go to a party, you know, for your adult kids to go out on a weekend, and you ain't got to worry about them being killed. Yeah. We can have that community back, Tony, because I grew up in this city. You grew up in this city. We didn't have these killings every day.
No. It was back then. It was unusual to hear about a death.
It was unusual.
Now it was usual to hear about a fist fight.
Fist fight, yeah. But then we didn't go home and got a gun. We just go home and think about how I'm gonna beat him again. I'm gonna try him again tomorrow. You know, we'll fight again tomorrow because he hit me with an uppercut. I got to learn to duck and dodge. I'm gonna get him because I know what he hit me with. Today, our children are killing each other like dogs.
Yeah, they're going home getting guns, and the unfortunate and taking them back to school.
And taking them.
The idea of taking a gun and shooting one of your classmates, but much less a teacher.
Listen, man, just this weekend, they had a killing in the school, a football game. Where the kids out there playing football, somebody shooting.
Yeah.
They don't deserve that. They deserve a community where they can go have fun and not be killed like dogs, or worse than dogs. We don't kill dogs like that.
What we're setting up in situations like that will tell the story later on. Those kids that grew up in those situations, they're set up for post-traumatic stress.
Listen,
when they walk away from that school and that, you know,
they traumatized.
They're traumatized.
They're traumatized. That's right. They don't take but one incident.
That's it. And they're not being treated.
Listen. And they are being repeatedly traumatized.
Yes.
It ain't just, and see, because what happens, they are showing it in the media as over and over and over again.
Yeah.
See, the media helps drive this division, and you know, when we got to call media out, you know, the way they report stuff, and the way they cause divisions within the community. I'm watching how sometimes I get on Fox people, watch them. Then I'm on NBC and watch them. You know, both of them talking their point of view, and both of them are causing separation because they're not talking unity.
Right.
They're not talking the basis of what caused us to be in one setting anyway. You know, we got to understand that business is controlled or regulated by government. And we are the people is supposed to have that person in government that represent us with business. See, we had people standing on their yacht talking about $15 an hour was too much. And we know that ain't but $30-some thousand a year. That ain't enough.
That is not a livable wage. You cannot exist and live. A single person can't live off that salary. And you have mothers with kids, and she's supposed to work and earn $15 an hour, and then come back and pay for housing and food,
and
possibly even child care for that child. There's no way
possible. And we got people that looking away from that when they start talking about electing folks. We got to start vetting these people, talking to these people before we vote for them, and letting them know what we want as a community. And if you're not going to do that, you don't need to be serving us.
Nope.
You don't need to be serving us. But now, since we done got it into a predicament, or they done got us into a predicament where we got to take our community back. And that's why the Sons of Atlanta is a call to unity for veterans and our communities.
Exactly.
And we got to stand up strong with that because we got so much opposition to it right now. And these people got the opposition to it, got the money. But they don't have the power. See, that power is an illusion.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? It's an illusion because what it is, if they can't buy us, they can't control us. And the way they buy us, the commercials make us want things that we don't need. They got us running out here with $10 an hour, standing in line all night to buy a pair of tennis shoes that cost $300. $100.
Yeah.
And we can't pay the rent.
And the minute they buy those shoes and walk away,
Somebody
takes them from them.
Kill you for the shoe.
Yes.
Kill you for the shoe.
Yes.
We got to take our community back, Tony.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about when we talking about our project. We're talking about a project that's based on the service of these young folks that died for this country to be a more perfect union, not to be a more perfect divided union. We don't pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's what we pledge for.
Yep.
Now we got somebody saying, well, I got a base over here, and you what I'm telling my base that you're trying to replace them. How can we replace what God has done? You know what? We believe too much junk.
Yes.
We're buying stuff into ideas that we don't need to be buying into. And I'm gonna say this here: the preaching used to come from the church. The preaching used to come from the church. Oh, that's what I'm doing. I forgot. The preaching used to come from the church. But what we got in the churches now are celebrities.
Yeah.
The preachers are celebrities. You go to church, you got a reserved parking space for your pastor. He rolling up in his Lexus Benz when the rest of the people walking and catching the bus to get to church. And they paying their tithes because they feel like this is something they got to do, which they should. I'm not saying that. But what the church is doing in the Bluff.
Yeah.
I'm talking about where I grew up. I mean, this is our hometown. I ain't talking about somebody out there I don't know.
Yep.
I'm talking about what I see every day. When I go into I'm off of Cleveland Avenue. I see homeless veterans and homeless people up and down Cleveland every day. I see mental people in the streets. And we, as a community, can address these issues without government interference if we come together. If we came together and worked in the community, we can undermine a lot of this stuff because we can pull together the resources. We getting government resources in our community every day. We done watch, Tony, since me and you been lobbying, millions of dollars allocated for homelessness, right? Why we still got homeless folks on the streets? I'm trying to figure that out. I don't understand how one mayor can say, I got 10 million buying some apartments I ain't never seen. And another minute can come up and say, I got 25 million and the population of homelessness grow. What are they doing with the money? They growing the population or decreasing it? We need to know. I'm going to just holler out to Mike Marzeo. I got to because Mike did something yesterday, Thursday on the meeting. He blasted it so hard, I wasn't going to come out against him, but I kind of want him to understand that we got to work on the whole commission. See, our commission is not doing what it was legislated to do. And we got to understand that we got a control factor on there that hadn't pushed for this commission to be organized the way it should be organized. And if you look at the second phase of our project, we needed to be organized like that because somebody got to monitor the Sons of Atlanta Vietnam War Memorial long after we are gone.
Oh yeah.
And we got the energy set up to do it right now. The Fulton County Veteran Empowerment Commission, the City of Atlanta Veteran Commission. We got all these VSOs, we got the Junior ROTC. We're going to call up on them to come together to make sure that this memorial is not just for Vietnam, but it's forever.
Yes. Yep.
That we are going into the community not just for Vietnam era, but forever. We are going to make our democracy work because the people, we the people, gonna do it.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm at Patrick Henry. They got me way back there thinking about Patrick Henry. Taxation without representation.
Yep.
I feel like that, Tony, when I look at the issues in our community, because they got the resources, but they're not putting them in the community
where they need to be.
With the people that they need to be put in. So Mike shocked him. I said, oh, wait a minute, Mike, you telling the truth?
Yes.
I said, but we just need to wait, wait for a minute so when you go back in there to vote next year, you have a better RFP.
Right, yeah.
See, and we said that in our reports, right?
Yeah.
When we made our report, I ain't seen now another report made except from the 5th district. Why? They hadn't encouraged the other districts to say anything.
Yeah. But the really great thing about that is bringing it to everybody's attention. You know, particularly those of us who served on the Empowerment Commission. You know, yes, it was wonderful that Fulton County gave us this money so that we could put it in the community, but now we got to realize we need to put it in the community where it needs to be, where people will benefit from it.
And I'm going to tell you what, you're so right, and we got the document to do it. We just got the wrong people in position. And like Mike was saying, when he went in there, he voted against that stuff.
Yeah, right.
You know, he just started telling the truth.
Yes.
So we know that why this is happening because of our people in that voting room.
Yes.
Mike was the only somebody in there that was thinking about the mission.
The mission and what the money was really designated for. And he stood his ground.
He stood his ground.
You know,
and I wanted to support him, but I didn't want him to blow it up to the point that it became a blocking of him.
Yeah. But
so they didn't block me all the way out.
Yeah, they block you out. But now that we gotta support him.
Yes.
Because we know where he stands.
Yes.
We weren't aware.
No.
We were not aware of where he stood, but he stood his ground there, and he came out and supported us at our town hall meeting.
At our town hall meeting.
He was there to listen to the community. He was there to listen to those people that showed up, that wanted to tell their story or their situation in our community. And he listened. And he listened, and he heard. Not just listened, he heard.
And I'm going to tell you something else that happened, Tony. And they did it in a way that we didn't even recognize. They had said that these meetings with these vendors were going to be an in-person meeting. They showed up on Zoom.
Yeah.
See, we got people in place in this commission that ain't got time to do what the commission was set up to do.
Yes.
And we got to go back to the board of commissioners and let them know. See, we didn't share our report with the whole board, right? We shared our report just with Marvin Arrington Jr. Pitts need to know about what we're talking about because, see, in this election, these elections that's coming up, we need to call out these commissioners that didn't do what they were supposed to do by legislation. We're just gonna go back to the root cause. We're gonna get past the appearances of things, and we're gonna go to the essence of it. What are the details? What is coming out of what we're doing? What is coming out of what we're doing? We're showing the community that the government can be responsive to our issues.
Exactly. And Fulton County has stepped up.
Stepped up like we wanted them to.
But we've got to be able to control that. We've got to have representatives from the community that really realize what Fulton County has done
and working to help.
And what needs to be done.
Working to make sure that mission is accomplished.
Yes, yes.
And Mike was the only somebody that stood up with us.
Yes.
You know, and I mean, he been showing that ever since he was there, because you remember at the news media, you know, he was there.
Yes.
You know, the rest of the folks ain't had time. They ain't got time to show up.
Yeah. The sad part about it is that we were offered an opportunity to meet face to face. In all honesty, we don't know what they really look like. We haven't sit down. It's amazing what you can do when you sit down at a table across a meal and talk to somebody. You know, he's the only person that has showed up at our meeting, and so we know what he looks like. He knows what we look like. He knows our feelings. He is empathetic, not just sympathetic, but he is empathetic for the conditions of veterans in our community.
In our community.
You know,
and he's showing that.
He showed that at the meeting.
And he's showing that today.
Yes.
With what he's doing out there in John Creek.
Yeah.
What has happened, we had a bunch of people come into that commission, saw how to rally, and went in there and took over and cut everybody off from saying anything that they didn't agree with.
Yeah.
We don't have a democracy the way it was set up. Because we got commissioners that didn't appoint people, and the commissioners that did appoint people didn't vet them before they appointed them.
Yeah.
We had, we had people coming on that commission saying, well, I ain't come here to volunteer for Fulton County. Well, why are you calling?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is Veterans Talk.
Yeah.
It ain't nothing but a thing, but it's a thing we want you to tune into every Saturday afternoon. We want you to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and you can look at the show repeats on YouTube. Anytime you want to go to YouTube, you can go and watch the show. You can actually watch the show with the day and some of the back shows that you want to see, to make sure that we are consistent, Tony.
Yeah.
I look at our shows and we are consistent with what we're trying to do for the community. Bring them information and inspiration and encouragement to take our community back.
Yeah, and we're also not just to take we encourage the community to be a part of it.
Be a part of us.
Your voice is, in fact,
It's incredible.
your voice is more important than our voice.
Yes, and when you're saying that, look at all the people that we had on the show.
Yes.
Like I think about,
Yeah.
we went into ABVA, Atlanta Veteran Businessmen Association, and Corey King.
Yeah.
Corey King came on the show.
Yes.
And now he's helping people that's in our community
Yeah.
in a legal way.
Yes.
That's building a network that makes a difference.
That is one of the arms of this broadcast and one of the arms of the Veteran Empowerment Commission.
Yes.
We're all connected.
We're all connected.
We're just not connected by veterans, but we're connected by the desire for us to do better in our community.
And to use the veteran power.
Yes.
See, I know that the military made me a better person
Yep.
because it taught me organization. We know how to go into the jungles and set up a tent city overnight.
Yeah.
Never seen anything like it, man. Watch this young military that we got today when COVID was going on. They were going in cities, setting up hotels, setting up motels, setting up hospitals
Yes.
for people.
Yeah.
Just like that overnight, them young folks just working together.
Yep.
And if you look at it, Tony, it is the most integrated part of our society. And it's the best functional part of our government right now.
Yes.
That demographic.
Yes.
We got to let them know we're better together. And that's what we're saying. It's a call to unity. We need all of that veteran power to go into our families, to go into our communities, to make wake them up.
Yeah.
Wake them up. Look at the politicians that we've elected, and we see how they have allowed business to dominate. To dominate to the point that they can come into Atlanta, Georgia. Investors can come into Atlanta, Georgia, and buy out all of the cheap properties and flip them overnight.
We had an example of that when 45 was elected. You look back at his cabinet. Millionaires.
Billionaires.
Billionaires.
Six billionaires he brought in the government.
And so they were totally for themselves and their businesses and their cooperation.
And Tony, and what you're saying, brother, is so true. And the impact of this. Now, I'm going to say the impact of this is infecting veterans' benefits right now.
Exactly.
Because what they set up and privatized was the exam system. And that's the system of the VA benefits process that a veteran got to get right.
Yep.
And I've seen them do exams that was unnecessary, and the ones that they do are incompetent.
Yeah.
So they keep him in the system. I got a call from Robert yesterday. They got him going back to the same examiner that denied him, I think, 2 years ago? We still in the process. And he upset by it. And I told him, I said, listen, no matter how upset you get, don't miss the exam.
Yeah.
Because if you miss the exam, it's an automatic denial. What you said, bringing these billionaires into our government. They came in there to get the business.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you what I've heard from them examiners personally. I don't work for the VA. You got to take that up with the VA. Any question you got from some of them examiners, they don't work for the VA. They're contractors. So they don't care nothing about your benefits and your rights.
Yeah.
They're there to do a job 8 hours a day, not to do a service to veterans.
Yeah. And to get paid.
You get paid.
And to get paid for it.
And they don't care what they do with you to get paid.
That's it.
So what you talking about, them billionaires coming in the government, And then they come in the government and do inside trading because they got inside information.
Yeah.
This is Veterans Talk.
Yep.
It's still Veterans Talk. It's going to always be Veterans Talk because, see, Tony, we're the only ones talking.
Yeah.
The bad part about it, most of the time we just talking to each other. So this show give us an opportunity to talk with the community.
Yes.
And we want to encourage the community. You can call in.
Yeah.
I know Sandra and a lot of those people that's listening, they call in about certain shows, and we want them to call in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we want people to call in every Saturday to join the conversation, to raise the conversation sometime because we might not be on point with what they want to talk about.
And the other reason is you may have a point of view that we don't recognize.
And we need that.
You know, your history dealing with the VA and the federal government is totally different from ours.
Yeah.
Let us know. If you don't tell us, there's no way we can know.
And then what you're doing, you're not just telling men, you're telling the whole community.
You're talking to a major part of the veteran community.
Yeah, major.
So talk to us. Tell us. Because I guarantee you, I will immediately. I don't know everything.
Yeah.
You
and
know?
see, the good part about us, Tony, we know we don't know everything. So, but what we know, we're going with it.
Yes.
See, and that's what we got to start doing because if we don't go with it, they're going to undermine what we serve for.
Yep.
And we're not going to have the rights that the Constitution gives us.
Yes.
Because we are putting people in place that when they charged with violating the law, they got an excuse for it.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't illegal. They saying that the insurrection was not an insurrection. It was an expression of, you know, civil discontent.
Yeah.
When people died,
Yes.
they actually had police officers that died that day.
Lost their lives.
But they ain't talked about that at all.
No. And not just that day, there's still officers suffering from post-traumatic stress as a result of them dealing with being attacked by citizens.
That's it. And actually, let me tell you something. One of them committed suicide.
Yes. Yes.
The same issues that we're talking about with veterans. This is why it's so essential that we come together in the community, that we get past all of these people that's trying to divide us, and we come together up under this document we call the Constitution. Because those writers, those people that outlined the Constitution, I believe that it was divinely inspired myself. And because it has given us an opportunity to overcome slavery, segregation, and now it's given us the opportunity to overcome economic disparity. You know, we would never overcome racism because, you know, you're going to always have people that hate. Cain killed his brother. So in our faith, it came from the very beginning. What it is, it's an internal selfishness that causes us to hate. And we got to understand that desire for material things causes us to be greedy and selfish. And we got to overcome that through our spiritual adherence. You know, I don't have any problem with what anybody believes, as long as they believe that their God is a God of peace. But when I see people that calling up on God and they calling up on violence in the community against any demographic, listen, I'm not all that wrapped up in what gay people do, but they are people too. They got much right as I have.
Guaranteed by the Constitution.
Guaranteed by the Constitution. And we got groups that want to separate them because they don't like their behavior. They should be praying to God for their behavior. You know, my faith said here, hate the sin, but love the sinner.
Because a lot of times that sinner is your brother. Anyway.
Oh, your sister. Tony, bro, I appreciate you, man. I can't say how much I appreciate you doing this every Saturday. You know, and because if we don't do it, I'm afraid to say right now, only Herman and a couple of other people doing it. And you got people around the nation that's trying to do the same thing that we're doing. I want to encourage them folks to keep on doing what they're doing. We might not have the same perspective. But you got conversation going on.
That's it.
And we need the conversation because if we're not talking to each other, that's what the dividers want us to do. They don't want us talking with each other. They want us depending on what they say and what they believe. But you know, this is coming to the end of the show, Tony.
Yep, Veterans Talk and everything. So we want you to follow us on Facebook and
like us on
Instagram. I'm having a senior moment right there. But
just follow us.
We're here every Saturday talking about those things that affect veterans, ourselves and other veterans within our community and across the nation.
And I'm gonna say this, Antonio, if I don't say nothing else, we're not just complaining about the problem. We're out in the community trying to correct the problem.
Yes.
And you know, that separates us from a lot of people just complaining about the problem. We are out in the community every day in some kind of way trying to address the problem. We're addressing that claim process at the VA now in ways that they want us to go away. They want us to go away because every time they deny us, we appeal it.
Yeah.
And we want people to know that's why we're a country of laws. It's time out.
Yep.
It's next week, same place, same time. Jack, are we right?
Yep. There we go.